Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the VOD Squad, the show where we talk about streaming technology. This is episode 202 on the last day of September 2020. I am Clyde, and today I am joined by Matthew Ross.
Hello everybody.
Jimmy Trammell.
Hey guys.
And Michael Aston.
Howdy y'all.
Together again. Everybody's here.
Yes, we are. Absolutely. We are all here, and we will be here every time. Absolutely. I think that's a wonderful thing. Okay, guys, I gotta tell you, I'm like totally exhausted. I can't keep it up. So we're gonna try though. So it's funny thing happened today. The funny thing that happened, I got up and I went to work and I was starving. I ate my breakfast. I was still starving. I ate my lunch. I was still starving. By the time I got home, I could not think straight. So I ate half a pizza and an apple. I feel a little better. So I hope
maybe you were having tonight. Sympathy starvingness for Mike because he hadn't eaten all day, and you were feeling it.
Maybe, I don't know. Why haven't you eaten all day?
I mean, I've had a little bit.
Dr. Pepper, right?
You know, mostly Dr. Pepper. I had a croissant.
Dr. Pepper is a meal. Dr. Pepper is the Guinness of sodas. And as everybody knows, a pint of Guinness is a meal.
That's right.
And Matt, I'm glad. I like to see how you balance that, right? Half a pizza and then had an apple.
You know, because I was still hungry. And, you know, the thing about apples around here, especially right now, you get an apple, it's the size of a softball. And I'm like, I could eat all this, but don't feel, you know, does anybody else want half? And so I split it up in half.
You lied. You only had half an apple.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's why I'm still hungry.
You claimed under oath that you ate an apple.
Oath?
We're on the record. This is being recorded.
Well, that's true. Wait, what? That says recording up in the corner.
Yeah, this is well, at least you had a whole something, right? Like 2 halves equals a whole.
Ah, yes, that's true.
You balanced the meal. It's a balanced meal, like Jimmy said.
And that apple was pretty big, so yeah. Have you guys ever had Papa Murphy's?
Yeah.
It's pretty good pizza.
They're
it's pretty good.
I don't know what that is.
It's a take and bake.
It's a take and bake pizza.
They get to they charge you the price of a regular pizza, but you have to
make
it yourself.
Kind of.
It's a racket.
Never quite grasped the point, though. I will say that if you're planning on eating it like in 3 hours and want to pick it up like on the way home and then have a dinner, like a pizza party that night,
that
kind of makes sense. But otherwise, it's just like, why am I paying you to do half?
You can eat cheap at Papa Murphy's if you get their specials. You can get some pretty cheap big pizza.
As long as you're not picky.
If you're not picky, you can get some stuff that's
the stuff they're trying to get rid of. I mean, that's how specials at restaurants work.
Yeah, but it's good. I agree. Sometimes it's like, well, we just could have, but it came out really good tonight, and while we were all able to get. I ate my pizza, which is how I like it, and I enjoyed it very much. So it's good.
All right. Well, what are we actually here to talk about?
We could talk about the things about, you know, what we like and the way we like it. Like, for example, we have a lot of hardware news this week. Roku, to start, had announcements about all kinds of different devices that they're releasing. And we're starting off with a new Roku soundbar. This is a soundbar. It's a little 14-inch sucker. It's sits underneath or besides your TV and includes inside of it the new updated Roku Ultra streaming box inside. It's available for about $130. It will be out sometime this next month, and it has all the features, including the HDMI ARC, optical out, Bluetooth receiver built into it. It's got the HDR support and the 4K. It's gonna be a pretty nice little package to make your TV just sound that much better and have Roku.
So most of you remember Roku released their soundbar about this time last year.
Maybe.
It was around this time. And it got pretty good reviews. It had a Roku Ultra built in, but it was the older one. This one changes it to 4 speakers, and 2 of them are up firing.
Oh.
To give you that like simulated surround. And the key is it's got built in the new Ultra, which they announced at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is the new Ultra supports Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos, which aren't included in the soundbar. And I mean, no Atmos makes sense because it doesn't have enough speakers to do Atmos. But this is pretty cool. I've got a little 32-inch soundbar here under my monitor, which is more than enough. This thing would be great in like a bedroom or a small living room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a pretty good deal, I think. I mean, the Roku Ultra itself is $100. And so you're basically paying $30 for
Speakers.
What appears to be a pretty solid soundbar. So I have a little Polk soundbar that's about the same size. I'm pretty happy with it. It sounds nice. It's got pretty decent volume. I would like more volume. So at some point, I'll probably upgrade to something a little bit bigger and beefier. Mm-hmm. But I think that for most people, this is going to be pretty satisfactory. It's going to probably improve the sound. It's going to be way better than your TV has. Mm-hmm. And if you're getting a Roku anyways, it's effectively $30.
Yep.
So it's a no-brainer.
The other thing to mention is the previous version included a subwoofer, a satellite subwoofer, and that was the main complaint by most people. Is not that it was bad; it was too good. And so therefore it was way too much for your bedroom. A lot of people wanted this in their bedroom because if you're not aware, most TVs, the speakers shoot out the back, which means down, which means most of your sound goes through the wall into the next room. So you turn up the TV so that you can hear it across the room, and you're blasting out people on the other side.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is such a thing as speaker scoops for underneath your TV. It's a real thing.
But the thing is, you don't need that. You just get this. It disables the audio from the TV, and it points the audio in the correct direction, and then you've immediately got better sound.
And yeah, even with the speaker scoops, that'll improve your audio by probably 50%. In volume and maybe a little bit in quality, but not a lot, right? Like the quality of TV speakers is generally pretty awful. I mean,
they're good enough.
5 years ago, compared to 5 years ago, they're still probably way better. And if you think about the awful sound your tube TV in the 80s had, of course it's way better. But just this is going to sound orders of magnitude
Wait,
better.
You mean the single paper cone or the single paper speaker in the bottom of the giant TV cabinet
that vibrated, and you could hear every vibration? Like, yeah, that was fond memories.
Looking at this device, it looks like it has probably, in my opinion, the smartest thing ever. A very easy to mount on the wall system. It looks like it's just 2 screws in the right spot, and it just kind of hangs on there. So good idea, guys.
Yeah, it looks like it's got threaded inserts is what it appears to be. I haven't seen any pictures of mounting hardware. The previous one had I think it had the I don't even know what you call them, but the holes in the back so you could put it mounted to the wall and
Oh,
just hang it
okay.
on screws.
Yeah, hanged on screws. So.
I don't know what is the technical term for those. But yeah, this looks like there's some sort of designed bracket potentially. But and if you're worried saying, well, my audio needs to be you know, over
Did
fiber or
Clyde, did the previous one have HDR?
it did, I believe.
Okay.
But I don't remember. And there was also two versions because there was
That's right.
there was the Roku official version, and then there was the cheaper Walmart version that was also, it was on brand, but it, you know,
You're talking about the speakers, not the Roku 4.
yes,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
There were two versions of the Roku 4 as well, and I have the earlier version, I think. I don't know. And you know, it still runs just fine.
Yeah.
And you know what's
great?
great?
Roku 4.
You know what's
I still
great
like
about
it.
the Roku 4? It's got it's a 4K compatible device. You know what's great about 4K divided with compatible Rokus? They're going to get an update to later this year, before the end of the year, to get iOS. What I call it iOS. I'm sorry, it's the Roku OS 9.4, which includes the ability for you to use Apple's AirPlay 2 and HomeKit directly into the device. So why in the world does anybody need to buy an Apple TV anymore if you can do all the things on a Roku? I don't understand, but yeah, that's right.
Is the Apple TV service on Roku?
It is.
Okay,
You
that's
can
right.
get
I couldn't
Apple TV.
remember.
So that what being said, the AirPlay 2 protocol is pretty darn good. It's I would call it superior to the Chromecast, although the Chromecast is more universal. Seeing that it's being supported by a lot more things, it is actually really nice to see that we're seeing it appear in a very common platform like the Roku. I know that the AirPlay has actually been appearing on other like specific TVs and things like that as well. But this is good. Any 4K capable Roku will be getting this upgrade by the end of the year. Yes.
So that means if you bought a HD Roku within the time that we've been doing this show, it will get upgraded. Because if you remember,
4K.
the Roku 4 came out right after we did this show, because that's when I got mine. It was like November of 2016, I think. October-ish.
That's
about the same.
That's a lot of different models, because there's the streaming sticks that are 4K. There's even some of those little tiny ones are, there some of those are 4K too. So it's pretty impressive. So
good update.
Continuing on the Apple's news here, we have a news story here saying that Apple TV, that app that allows you to watch the Apple shows,
Never heard of it.
is coming. Yeah, no, it's coming to the Xbox consoles. So if you are, if you've been waiting to watch it, but you really hate that Apple hardware, and there's nothing wrong with the hardware except for the remote, you will be able to get the service on your Xbox consoles. It looks like soon.
Now you forgot an important word.
Oh, what's that?
May.
Oh, May.
It may be coming to the Xbox.
Is this Rumorville?
Nothing's been officially. It says right there, Apple TV may be coming. It at this point, people have found stuff that makes it seem pretty obvious that it's probably going to happen. But you know how it goes, where things don't always end up getting released. They don't always make it into the wild. You may have some sort of falling out. The fact that that would show up on the Xbox, I think, is, as opposed to the PlayStation, is amazing in itself.
I'm going to give Apple some praise here, because Apple has shown recently more and more a willing to open up their platforms to outside stuff.
Yep.
This is an example. I can change my default mail app and my default web browser on an iPad now. This is something that is absolutely. I mean, Steve Jobs is rolling over in his grave, but it's true.
Well,
Plus two, Steve Ballmer's not at Microsoft anymore, right? That's the reason why you're seeing Apple stuff coming to the.
Oh, you think
Microsoft
Steve Ballmer
platform.
and Steve Jobs had a moment?
well, Ballmer
Oh,
was the one that
absolutely.
threw the fit and smashed that iPhone at the
That's true.
event.
He did.
He
And Steve loved to take those little things and just like, oh, I will never forget this. You
but but what I was gonna say is I find it a little funny, or it makes me smile, because not so long ago I was hearing Apple diehards criticizing Microsoft for their philosophy of they wanted their stuff on everything. Well, if your thing's so good, why does it need to be everywhere? You just put it on your device so that people will get your device. And now Apple's finally, but I mean, it's smart because not everybody needs to, bend to your wishes. If you've got a thing that they might want to use, make it easy for them to use it, and they will use it.
Yep.
Because like if there's a cool Apple product, I'm not gonna go buy a phone for a single product, spend $1,000. But if you put it on a device I already own, and as long as it's not called iTunes, I will never. We've been over this. I will never ever reinstall that app. It's destroyed my computer and library too many times. But yeah, good for them. I hope it does make it on the Xbox.
All right, we have a story here from YouTube TV. YouTube TV says they were unable to make a deal with the Sinclair group of television channels for their Fox regional sports networks because they were not able to get to an agreement. They are dropping those channels. In fact, I believe they're already been dropped starting October 1st. So as of midnight tonight, you will be losing a whole bunch of different regional sports networks from anything, but it looks like they're all basically named Fox Sports something. So it's Fox Sports Northwest. I checked to see if that one was on there. It doesn't look like it is.
I mean, this was announced back in February that the contract ran out back in February. They did an extension through the baseball season. And then there was like basically no baseball season.
Gotcha.
And then now, I mean, it's been since February and they still haven't reached a deal. And they're at the end of the regular season. So, okay. They already dropped the Yankees station back in February.
Right.
At the same time. But yeah, it's a dispute. Sinclair doesn't like or YouTube doesn't want to pay the money that Sinclair thinks they should get. And Sinclair says, nope, we're not willing to. So
if I were YouTube TV, I would be in the exact same boat of like, nobody's really watching your shows. Everybody is having to watch cardboard cutouts in the crowd, and you've got fake crowd noises. And it's baseball, so you got your diehard fans, but right now nobody's getting all up and crazy about it. It's too early in the season for anybody to be super into it.
And this is the point where Fox Sports or the local, they don't carry many of the football games, right? Now it's more of a question because I don't watch the football games, so I don't know. I think they might have college
sports.
None of my college football was ever on Fox.
Okay.
It was always CBS Sports or ESPN or ESPNU or something. So maybe, but not Boise State, and that's all that matters. So,
but if you were subscribing to YouTube TV specifically for Fox Sports, local, regional, whatever, you might want to confirm whether or not there's someplace else. Everybody
Fubo
else
probably has them.
Carry on.
Yeah, it's fine. It's sports ball. If it's a big deal to you, it's a big deal to you.
But it is making that $65 a month seem like not such a good deal anymore, right?
Yeah,
well,
it depends.
expensive.
It depends what you're there for. If you
Right.
were never there for the Fox Sports,
It's not a big deal.
you know, it's not a big deal.
All right, we have a story here. Apparently, sometime we're going to have this announcement from Google about apparently there's a new Chromecast coming out. Actually, we've been hearing about this for a while. It's the Sabrina, right? It's the code name Sabrina. And we've been hearing many, many, many different things about it. But now we have the fact that people are literally buying them in stores. That's right. There have been people who've been going to various stores and picking them up from, like your Home Depots and things like that, and going, "Hey, this isn't supposed to be for sale yet, but I bought one anyways. Hey, this is what it looks like, and this is what it does." The brand new Google Chromecast is officially being seen in places where it's not officially.
As of today, it's officially on sale.
You just spoiled a really poor joke of my own, so that's good. Good job.
Although I will say I went to 3 Home Depots in my area over the last 2 days and unsuccessfully was able to get one of these early. They didn't have them out. So it wasn't Home Depot that put them out. It was, I would say, lack of attention to detail from the management of
They
the
both say
store.
Chromecast.
Well,
Put
no,
the Chromecasts out.
That's the thing is, if you've ever worked in retail where you deal with stuff that has a release date, you know that the equipment arrives there sometimes months in advance.
Yeah, it is a big
And
old sticker
there
on it says
is-
"Do not open until."
And there's usually some sort of documentation that says, do not, whatever the rules are for that thing. And a lot of time what happens is whoever's, in charge either didn't pay attention, didn't read it,
Or didn't care.
and then you get someone that's being proactive and trying to be a good employee and say, hey, we just got to get these things out. Let's do our job, get them out. And they put them on the shelves and nobody notices. And then they're out in the wild.
Man,
Yeah.
I think the whole idea of having a big date where things get released works in some cases, but in most cases it doesn't. I mean, just say, hey, we're shipping them now. Check your stores. Make a buzz for it. I mean, it just would make sense to me.
Yeah, but if you don't set a hard date, people get irritated fast when they're like, I've been to my store 5 times and they still don't have it. Where is the product?
But the exact same
never
happens.
buying anything from you ever again.
Exact same thing happens when I went to the store and they were sold out and there's still no product.
See, but that's different. If you know, hey, today is the day, then it's a
psychological. You missed your chance versus you never had the chance. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like a victory when you get there and you get the last one. It's like,
It's also a matter of who you're angry with, right? If you go to a store and the product is theoretically available,
But they
then
ran out.
get upset with the store for not having it. If the store sells out, you get upset with the other people for beating you to it.
Yeah.
Or for Apple or Google or whatever for not making enough product, right? It's usually a lot easier on the staff on those days. I worked Best Buy for quite a while, and I seldom had people that were really upset with us when we sold out on day one.
I mean, you expect
very
that.
common
Yeah.
for people to get upset. Why don't you have this in yet? It's been out for a month.
Exactly.
It's like, well, you can't get it into the store. But if the release date is in the past, like games were a common thing, especially because they would get delayed, but they wouldn't necessarily always announce it as effectively as they should.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'd come in on the 28th and the game's going to be out. And they're like, I'm sorry, they pushed that back another 3 months. I was like, no, I want my game. And they get mad then because it wasn't communicated well. I
Yeah.
agree. It is. Plus, while this is probably not the case with the Chromecast, it's also important with a lot of products that have services and things that they tie into, and they aren't necessarily going to be ready for those services to be hit by 6 million customers on the 30th, but they will on the 2nd, because they will have finished all of their testing and their infrastructure build outs and stuff by then.
Yep.
I guess so. Pardon my brain for thinking that another way of being creative about it would make sense, but apparently my brain is incorrect again. Makes more sense the way you're doing
I
it.
just know what I've seen. The third option is, or I guess with another thing for day and date, you get to be the guy that goes in and buys the very last Xbox 360 and take it out to the street where everybody else is waiting and then smash it. That guy's the hero.
Or, I mean, the one that got me recently was exclusive GameStop pop figure, and I wanted one, but I wasn't paying attention to the release dates. I went in 3 days after it came out and they were sold out. And that was the only shipment. They all of the production were distributed on day one, sold out. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I can get one online. And he smiles, and I check online, $150. I'm like, yeah, I don't need a pop figure for $150. Thank you.
But they know you want it, and they know that somebody like you will happily pay for it. Yeah. Hey, you don't have to spend $150 if you want to watch something on Amazon's Fire TV sticks. Because like we discussed last week and probably the week before, that this rumored new announcement of the new sticks were going to be coming out. And hey, lo and behold, they did come out. There's a regular HD one available for $30. That gives you all the features of that you expect for a regular HD stick, and a newer version that's going to be $40 of the original streaming stick that's with 4K and Dolby Atmos, no Dolby Vision apparently, and H2 802.11 AC Wi-Fi, and apparently they all have some new experience inside too for the user experience. It's supposed to be new and better. And I don't know anything about those, so you'll have to let me know what that's like.
Well, I mean, we talked about this a couple days ago, or a couple weeks ago, or whatever it was.
Last week, we said, hey, they're rumored to happen.
And we knew it was coming. They just didn't know how it would fit into the lineup, and that's been cleared up. So, yeah, new Fire TV device. If you are so inclined, go out and get it.
Very cool.
Yeah. I just wish they would have released a new cube, because I want a better, more powerful, faster cube with more RAM and stuff.
What you need to do is you need to buy a Roku soundbar.
Yes, but I like the Amazon interface better than Roku. I do have a Roku device here in my room. It is a 4K TV, so... Yeah. And it's a Roku device, so I wonder if it'll get the upgrades, because it's a TV, like a full-on TV. But yeah, so I prefer the Amazon interface. I mean, it's not great, but when you add in the Echo
you bought in, it's okay.
Functionality, the Alexa functionality, got y'all. Then it's just better. I like it. So, that's my issue. I really want better ones, because here's the thing, like, all of these devices have hangups because they're small, they're reasonably priced, and so they're cutting corners on quantity of RAM. They get hot and overheated occasionally, and so they slow down. At least every one that I've owned Roku sticks, I've owned Fire sticks, I've owned a Roku, I've owned multiple cubes. They all just get that way. And why can't I just get them to sell me a a $300 one that just like got 20 gigs of RAM or something like that. Come on,
So
guys.
I gotta ask. I gotta ask. The fact that those devices run so hot, is that where they came up with the name Fire TV?
Yeah.
All I gotta say is, dude, get yourself an Intel Nook.
What?
Oh, the next unit,
NUC.
next unit of computing, the little tiny computers by Intel, designed to hook up to a TV. They're the cutest little PCs
Not
out
to
there.
be confused with a Barnes and Noble Nook.
No,
So
don't get one of those.
I used to run all of my TVs.
Hey, look, he's got one.
Yeah, Jimmy's got one right there.
Nice.
Okay.
The thing is, I used to run all of my TVs with Windows Media Center. I had multiple full computers built in like sweet home theater cases that kind of looked like that fit in with the receivers and everything. It looked great. It worked great. And then Windows got stupid and decided to get rid of Media Center.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
when you should have probably. Yeah, there's other things you could have gone for. But I understand.
I tried like what's the Unix Myth TV and
It was not ready back then.
they just weren't as good, and Media Center PC was just so easy and worked so well. It's just
I went the other way, and I was all in on Windows Home Server, which was amazing.
right.
The thing was beautiful. It was all your enterprise server stuff you need, but dumbed down for the average person to use.
Mhm.
And it was the best NAS. Like, it supported DLNA, so you didn't have to do anything. All my streaming devices could just find all the content on it. It was great. But you were saying you need to you want to report a new cube. But what would you say if I told you could just save $100 on a Fire TV recast instead?
Yep, that's the next story. It looks like there's going to be an Amazon Prime event. They've
It's
announced.
live right now.
Oh, was it live? I thought
Well,
it says it
these
was
are-
going to be.
No, these are the early. There's two.
Ah.
There's a couple things that are for today and tomorrow, I think. Early
Gotcha.
deals. So if you want this, you gotta act fast.
Okay, so this is the recast, which is their over-the-air DVR service that works with all their Amazon Fire Sticks and Fire TVs. This is a device that's able to have either a 500 gig or a one terabyte gig hard drive in it. Normally, they charge about $230 or $280 for those two models, but they're giving everybody $100 off of this. So $130 gets you a decent over-the-air DVR that works with all your Amazon sticks in your house. If you're into that ecosystem, this is a pretty awesome idea. So
I gotta say, the price was compelling enough that when I saw that today,
you
I
almost
actually
thought about it.
And then I remembered I don't have anything else
Right.
to use it with. So, I mean, I thought about getting it just to try it out, but, yeah,
I mean,
I'm gonna let it go.
it's an interesting idea. The thing the complaint I have with these is my experience is that if I have two options, I can climb up on the roof of my house and put an external antenna up there, which is probably against my HOA, though maybe there's a federal law. Was it federal or is it state that says you can't do
a
that?
big antenna? Just do it in the attic. That's
Mhm.
the best place, because then it's not visible.
Yeah. So I got to do that, or I got to get like 3 of these to put them at each corner of my house with an antenna, with an internal antenna to be able to get all the channels that I want. Because like we tried this for a while with not with the recast, but with another device.
Mhm.
And geez, like I could get like a third of the channels in, and then I'd have to like have somebody go move the antenna to get the other 3. And then
It's definitely your mileage may vary, because some people live in places where you get all the channels. Some people live in places where there are no channels. So, if you're not, or
Works
if
great in
you're interested
Oklahoma.
in this and but you're not familiar with, or you don't know what channels you should get, or what type of antenna you need, go to, I think it's antenna.org. And you put in your address, it will show you exactly where all of the different stations are located and where your antenna should be located in your house and what kind of antenna you would need to effectively get them all. You may find out that, you're completely out of luck.
I am going to have something to say about this, but I'm saving it for my rants and raves.
All right.
Yeah.
Word.
Okay, fine. I'll save that and we can talk about something else. What is the next story, everybody? What is it? I don't know. Oh, look, it's the Nest speakers. Guys, we've had our big announcement from Google today where they announced a whole bunch of new things. And relevant to this show, we have one of them being the new Nest Audio. This is their replacement for their Google Home speaker, the original one that looked like a vase of some kind. This looks more like somebody took
It looks like a giant chiclet.
Yes, that's a pretty good description of it. It does look like that. They said they've done a good job of increasing the quality of the audio and the volume of it, being able to make it loud. The old one was pretty loud too, I have to say. I don't know about that. It also has been set up with a faster processor inside, so it'll be able to handle a bunch of the new commands as they come out. Comes in all different kinds of colors and is available for $100 today, which is, actually it's pre-ordered today, which is actually, if you ask me, about the right price. Being cheaper would be better, but
I've got the Google Home Mini. I use it because my bedroom the light switch isn't connected to anything. So in order to turn the lights on and off, you either have to walk across the dark room to get to a light, or you automate it.
Mm-hmm.
And I recently found out this morning when I woke up and there was no internet. They don't save the routines locally. They don't. Because my local network was still available. It could communicate with all of my stuff. But no, it says, I can't turn on your lights. I can't reach the internet.
Yeah, well, so the reason why it can't do that is because your light switch is probably using a little thing on the wall, the little wall wart, and that's probably made by somebody else. Because it's made by somebody else, Google has to talk to their server and say, hey, by the way, this one with this barcode and using this special code to make sure you know it's me.
I understand. I'm just saying that kind of stuff could be... there's a way that it could be stored locally. And,
I completely agree that they need to eliminate that entire trip out to the internet and back.
I understand why it doesn't work. It's just a matter of there's going to be situations where it needs to work and there's no internet.
If you want to do it without the internet, there are open source products that can do this completely without any internet. So.
Yeah, that requires a trip to GitHub, and then I get stupid confused, and I throw up my hands and say,
get
what can I throw money at?
I understand.
Yeah.
All right, well, the one thing you can... go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to follow along with Clyde. My theory on open source is I love the concept. I love the idea, but as a general rule, when I want something, I just want it. I don't want to work for it. If I wanted to work for it, I'd be programming it myself, right?
It's the reason that Thingiverse is so popular. I can design something that fits my needs exactly, or I can go find something that's close enough
and pay a little bit of money,
potentially.
And probably it's made better than you could have done yourself, quite frankly, because they've made 1 million of them at that point.
Potentially.
Worked out the bugs.
Potentially. But, it may not be the right exact size or, whatever. It's one of those things where, good enough.
Yeah, so my theory on open source is simply, this is the bar. If you can't do it as well as the open source, you shouldn't be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can do it better, then you can charge for it. Makes sense to me. If you can't do it better than that, what are you doing?
Yep.
This is the bar. You have to be able to reach higher.
I'm all for open source as long as I don't have to expel any effort to use it.
And some of it is that good, and a lot of it is not.
I mean, like, yeah.
Ubuntu is finally there, right? Like
Ubuntu is not. No, don't use Ubuntu. Please don't use Ubuntu.
Okay, multiple Linux distros are finally there.
Yeah, they're closer than they ever were.
I did a little project where I set up Ubuntu, and I used it, and I was able to get that whole thing up and running with no difficulties at all in less time or no more time than a Windows machine.
Side jag, Ubuntu is fine. There's nothing wrong with Ubuntu except for Unity sucks. And after that, I'll just let it go.
Yeah, my NUC runs Linux. Runs Oracle Linux, but
Oracle Linux is a rebrand of Red Hat, which Red Hat is the Linux for servers, really. So that's a good, and Oracle does a couple tweaks to make it better for their databases and a couple things to make it easier for their virtualization platforms and things like that. It's actually really good
software that you pay for.
Debian and
Red Hat
Ubuntu are the bastard children, right?
No, kind of.
They're closer related than they're kissing cousins or.
Well, that's true. Debian basically came out, and it's probably Debian, I know, but I like to call it Debian. Came out basically as one of the very first and oldest distros back in the day, and they got the process down to, they actually got a committee to decide about the making of it, and then Ubuntu basically came in and said, "That's great. We're going to take what you did and build on it," and so Ubuntu is essentially Debian with plus stuff, and then people have been making things on top of Ubuntu, so it's Ubuntu plus stuff, and it's like it's getting crazy.
Ubuntu is more open source, whereas Debian is committee driven.
Actually, I would argue that Debian is much more open source than Ubuntu. Okay. I would argue that, but that being said, it's semantics at this point.
I will say the thing that Debian's got going for it is that it was created by a guy that was involved in Toy Story. Which is why every Debian release is a Toy Story character's name.
Yep, and also it's named Debian because it's his wife's name was Deb, and his name is Ian. So,
yeah,
good name.
So you can get proper OSs though. What device has a proper OS now?
Jimmy will tell
you. It's not Windows.
Hey. See, Windows is the thing where I don't have to think about it. I just turn it on and it works.
Windows is proprietary.
That's fine, and that's the thing where, like Matt said, if it's better than if it works better than the open source, then you can charge for it. Well, right. I paid for this, and it just works, and I don't have to deal with it.
So since we're on the side jack anyways, Windows is fine.
It's fine.
And you pay for it with your PC or you pay for it outright. I have no problem.
Windows is good for secretaries.
I have no problem with the amount people have to pay for it to get with their PC, because really you're not paying very much, if anything at all. I mean, it's almost zero for that. I just argue vehemently about the fact that I have to pay $100 or $200 for a copy of Windows if I build my own PC. When I'm building a PC and I'm going to make this PC as cheap as possible, and crap. That means I'm going to be spending just as much money on the PC as I am on Windows.
If you're building that cheap of a PC, you should be putting Linux on it.
Generally, I do.
Yeah, and that's what I've got a bunch of little cheap old business computers that I would run if I needed to run a little standalone server or something. Then just throw Linux on it. It's fine. Doesn't need to be powerful. But
Windows is the best choice if you have a standard office environment where you're not dealing with engineers or creatives, or if you want to play video games.
That is the
top choice in those two scenarios. And I'll qualify that. Obviously, almost all games require Windows to run. They work better on pure Windows machines, and the best games, I should say, not almost all games, the best high-end blockbuster games, I guess is the way to put it. It's like obviously mobile games, or there's a lot of games that work on iOS as well now, but most of your big name games, your blockbusters, do not work as well on Mac or Linux.
Well,
the other
you can certainly make an argument that Windows is good for gaming, right? No doubt about that. I mean, nobody I think would argue against that, right? But for real world computing outside of gaming, right?
Basic office environment, I still say winner goes to Windows. And the reason I say that is because Office for Windows is unquestionably the best productivity suite, period. And
Office is pretty good, but Windows is where these kids with MBA degrees, because in MBA school they teach you one thing when it comes to computing.
The NBA is a league, not a school.
Yeah, what they teach at MBA school is Microsoft is the answer. What's your question?
Well, as an MBA, I assure you, I did not get that class.
All I gotta say is that I've seen these guys who go in and get these MBAs, and they go, "Dude, you're not tall enough."
Yeah.
I mean, the short guys with MBAs, they're like 6'4". Those are the short guys.
Yeah,
but,
I don't get it.
But I mean, Windows has its place, right? No doubt about it. But the thing is, Windows is never going to drive a database that processes credit card transactions. Never going to happen.
Yeah, but my computer doesn't need to do that. If my computer is doing that, that means it was hacked and someone else is controlling it.
And I qualified that I also feel like for creatives, Apple is almost always going to win. And for engineers, you'll find a mix of Apple and Linux open source OS. You'll find engineers that do a lot of work on Windows, especially if they're using like .NET or something. Sure. But I would argue that at least for most web development, Windows is not the best solution. Everything I do on Windows, I find I feel like I have to jump through extra hoops to do the stuff on a Windows machine that I would if I was doing it on a Unix or a Unix-based machine like a Mac or something with terminal, right?
And I'm constantly running into software that clearly states not available on Mac. And this is stuff that I use on a daily basis. So yeah. But what else?
Hey, we were talking about operating systems, and somehow we got really off track. But we wanted to talk about the fact that actually Google did have their big event today. And in that event today, they did show us the brand new Google Chromecast the Google Chromecast with Google TV. This is their Chromecast. What's the cool thing about this Chromecast? This is the Sabrina that we all talk about, and we just recently talked about some people getting it early. But it is a device, comes in 3 colors, and allows you to hook this device up to your TV with the Chromecast, all the features you would get with a normal Chromecast, 4K, with HDR and Dolby Atmos and all those features. But it comes with a remote that has an IR function, so you can control your TV's power and volume and switch inputs. Thank God. They've got.
Oh, good.
This remote looks an awful lot like the remote that came with the their VR project, and so that's a pretty good shape for that remote. I actually like that in my hand size. So if I've had any experience, if this is anything like that experience, I'm sure it's not motion controlled, but it looks like the buttons all work. And the thing is, the Google TV that they're calling is it's actually built. It looks like it's built right on top of Android with an interface.
It's an overlay. So essentially, my predictions were correct. This is the same thing as the TiVo stream. It's just Android, and then the overlay that TiVo has. This is the Google version they're calling Google TV.
Right.
I don't
What's the
like
difference
this remote.
between Android TV and Google TV?
So according to Google, they're going to go ahead and drop Android TV, supposedly. I don't know if that's actually true.
Yeah.
But they are calling their new interface the Google TV interface, which is not to be confused with the old Google TV.
Which was my complaint back when we first talked about this, that it's a bad idea to go back to that Google TV name because people have such that name is so polarizing. People they're either absolutely have terrible traumatic memories of the Google TV. Some people loved it and have traumatic memories because of the way it was dropped. Either way, it's got baggage.
Fair enough.
And I don't think that's the way to go.
Nobody ever.
It's typical Google making things muddier.
Nobody ever claimed Google was good at naming things.
And I gotta say, okay, I get offering the remote in different colors.
Yep.
Why are they making this thing in different colors? You can't disconnect the cable. It's never going to be visible. This is designed to hang on the back of your TV.
Correct. You know what's even more ridiculous? Inside the pack, they include batteries. The batteries are the same color as your device. Yep, that's right. You will get exclusive batteries made specially for your TV that comes in the colors of sunrise, snow, and what was the other color?
I don't know. There's a pink, there's
Cloud.
a blue, and yeah, whatever. White. They're obviously white.
It's an eggshell white. It's a blue and it's a pink. So the one thing that to note about this is it's running Android 10. The Google TV. So this is the only thing running Android 10 because the TiVo version of this made by the same company, which is why I figured they were going to be the same device, just different shape, is on 9. And as we talked about last week, the beta or the developer version is on 11. So this is the only device that Android TV that's running 10, but I see that as a good thing because that bodes well for the TiVo 4K stream getting an upgrade, being that they're essentially the same device. You're saying Android 10. Do you mean Android 11?
No, 11 is on the developer.
Oh, I thought that my phone just got 11.
Yeah, no, I'm talking Android
but not for
TV.
TV. Gotcha. I thought they were
That's
synced
why
up.
the TiVo's still on 9. And then they basically, for the developer model, they jumped over and went to the newest, made 11 available on it. So this is the first Android TV platform with 10.
So this is going to have the ability to have all the different apps on it. I think it has pretty much all the different streaming services on it, except for maybe Peacock.
No, it's on there.
I don't know. Okay, well, it has everything then. So this is
it literally has everything.
If you were looking at something that has everything, this may be a good choice for you, and it's only $50. I'm considering going to buy one. Anybody else thinking about it? Clyde already said he was looking for one, so I think he might be.
I was gonna get it to try it. Mainly I wanted it for when we talked about it. I could be like, you mean this?
Yeah, that'd be great.
That was.
What are you talking
reason.
about?
So I mean, I'll try it out because I am a fan of Android TV.
Well, that's
and
good.
then, but yep, but I don't like the remote. I think the remote looks terrible. I do like the TiVo remote. And I don't know. I hate the dongle design. I just
Unfortunately, the dongle design is here to stay. That's just how
with
it
the
is.
attached. I mean, with that stupid attached flat cable is the thing. If it was removable some way, then that'd be fine. But I don't like that.
But between this and the Roku, I'd say buy the Roku.
Well, my Roku Ultra is a standalone box with an actual Ethernet port.
I have two big complaints about the dongle design. First of all, why can't they put a 90-degree angle on the dongle? Like, they always come out of the back of your TV. The back of your TV is vertical.
Nope.
The dongle comes out and then it's like it hangs back there. It's like
all my TVs are horizontal, but I agree. That is my biggest fear with those is that it's going to be vertical. Usually it's vertical on the side, and that's where you see it, and it's got to fold over to hang.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, no, it's terrible.
Well, why not just make it a stick? Why is it got to hang like that?
Well, you can't because these things are so big.
Yeah.
You can't stick. Otherwise, it would have to stick way out. Because this thing's probably about, yay big. So that's why it's got a flat cable is because then just like the Ethernet cord that came with my Ubiquiti Cloud Key, it's got metal on either side, so it's rigid and you can bend it. So it's actually the cables aren't supporting the weight. The metal inside that ribbon is. Think of like a twist tie, but heavier. So I understand why they do that, but the fact that the difference is my Cloud Key, you don't have to use that cable. You can disconnect it and plug a different cable in. And
hopefully your socket in your TV will hold up to that, right?
See, I mean, it's not that heavy, but it's heavy enough to be strain on those little tiny cables inside.
Well, if you got to put steel in there and all, you figured it's hefty enough to worry if my socket.
It's not like that. It's just you need something to take the strain so that the wires inside aren't. Like you never want to hang anything by an Ethernet cable, even though Ethernet cable probably deal with it, but you've got repeated stress from it moving around and then stuff breaks. So
well, there's an easy fix to that. They make little extension cables that would fix your problem.
Yeah. I think one thing that you mentioned though that is worth mentioning in my opinion is the remote. Having not actually used the remote,
I wish I could find my remote.
I can't say for sure, but I feel pretty confident that this remote's going to suck. It's like if you look at the way the buttons are positioned, it's going to be.
I've generally been a fan of Android TV remotes in the past. I do like that this has a more dished. It's got a more dish design similar to a Roku remote, which I find more comfortable than the flat style that Android TV used in the past, and also like Fire TVs use, the candy bar kind of shape. But the lack of buttons and the layout, I think, is terrible.
Yeah, that bit at the top kind of looks like the old iPod click wheel, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Or a suction cup.
So again, I wish I had the remote I had for my VR. I wish I had it around because it looks almost exactly like that, except for there's extra buttons on it. He's got it somewhere. But no, that's I actually really like that size of remote in my hand. It feels very comfortable. So if it is modeled after that, and I understand the extra buttons is probably you do have to reach down to get to it, but that is actually I really like that. Yep, and you got the remote. That's the question. Because if he does, I bet
You're
you
talking
anything
about this.
I bet you anything that is essentially turn it sideways. Yes, I bet you that is what they modeled it after.
It is. It's very similar.
And I like how that feels in my hand, quite frankly.
This is the TiVo remote.
Right.
For the Android TV. They should have just used this.
Oh, that's
no-
kind of like a TiVo special design. If you did that,
Well,
for TiVo.
I don't mean like the contour because, you know, this was meant to be reminiscent. I just meant kind of the button layout. The button layout is
You
usable.
like the dish in the middle.
You've got volume, channel, so you can operate your TV.
Right.
So you, like, if you actually, you're one of those weirdos that actually uses your TV as a TV.
I do. Yeah.
But, I mean, including, they also have the number buttons at the bottom so you can direct dial your channels. This is a decent. I don't like the fact that it doesn't sit in my hand right when I'm trying. My finger is never where I want it to be. I have to constantly shift it.
Mm-hmm.
With my Roku or with my Roku remote, it's flat, so it shifts easy. This has a little thing,
curve.
which on an actual Roku remote, that was fine because you were either operating in the top all the time or
you turn it
operating in
sideways.
the bottom all the time.
Right.
You weren't shifting back and forth. So I don't know. I'll get one of these as soon as I can find one, and we'll see. I mean, it's $50. That's what I paid for the TiVo. And I've been happy with the TiVo. And
That's probably the best thing about it is the price.
Now there is one thing that you should be aware that if you are thinking, this might work well with Stadia. I know nobody's really thinking that. Be aware that this has not been approved to be used with Stadia yet. You still need to get the Roku Ultra to do that. But they do say that it'll be compatible with Stadia probably by next year. And if you're not interested in that, don't worry about it. You're all good.
yeah, actually, I would recommend, Jimmy, you should try, if you haven't tried Android TV.
So be a good one to get.
I'll let you know if this one's good to get once
You try it out, Clyde, and if you say that it's good, I'll try it.
Okay. I will say I'm almost pretty confident in telling you to try out the TiVo one. Wabbit got one and he likes it. I think he still likes it. The added overlay takes a little bit of wrapping your brain around it, but once you understand what it's trying to do, I never go into it anymore. I don't go into the custom TiVo thing. I just stay in Android TV, and it's great. But
well, the guy, the overlay for the Google TV looks very much like your like a Fire Stick overlay or an Apple TV overlay. It is the grid of boxes to get access to different things.
And the thing that they were doing is, at least with the TiVo version, you go through and it learns what shows you're watching and pays attention to what episodes you've watched. So then you can just go into it and just when you click on a show, it'll take you to the next episode directly. So from you're navigating through a show page or a page of all your different shows and movies, not digging through apps, then loading the app, and then digging through there. It's just a one-stop menu, which was the TiVo aspect of it. Android TV does some of that natively, but the Google overlay is essentially doing their version of what the TiVo overlay is doing, which is what sets them apart other than that terrible looking remote and those colors. All right.
Oh well.
You know what I would never complain about though? I complain a lot. That's part of who I am, but there's one thing that I will never ever complain about.
Grilled cheese sandwiches.
Well, it depends. If I made it, no. If somebody else made it, I won't complain to their face, but I might complain.
Okay, just ask.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about our patrons.
Oh,
the
those
people that
guys
support us every month, even though they don't have to. but because they want to, and we appreciate it. If you're one of the several people out there that have been supporting us financially over the last 100 episodes, we salute you. We thank you. If we were Japanese, we'd probably bow to you.
Too late.
But I'm not, and my back can't handle that stuff anymore. So I will just say thank you. If you're not a supporter, but you would like to become one, that's patreon.com/thevodsquad. You've got a direct line of contact to us.
Yep.
You get a custom RSS feed, which is now live again with podcasts. So you don't have to actually be here. If you missed the episode, you just want to listen to it in the car. I mean, that's how I consume most of my shows. Now you can. And that's patreon.com/thevodsquad. Don't want to go too long on that.
Thanks a lot.
Because, thank you. Because what we need to do is get some rants and some raves. And there we go. Hey, I don't know what happened to Mike.
You got a robot.
Did you become part of the Borg Collective or whatever they're called? Did you get assimilated?
Did you ever see Alien?
Yep, I did. So I'm going to go first because this thing is freaking amazing.
Are you the lawnmower man?
Yes.
Are you cutting grass in there?
That's right.
So which one is that?
This is the Rift S.
Oh, okay.
So yes, this is the one you would never buy because you have to have a Facebook account.
Yeah.
But it is the recommended device for Rogue Squadrons, which is the Star Wars space combat game that comes out on the 2nd. So I went ahead and got this, and it is absolutely amazing. I'm on virtual desktop, so I see you bigger than life. Well, not really, but that's because you're not maximized. My screen now stretches probably about the size of a 95-inch screen. I have to turn my head to get from side to side of my browser.
The audio listeners can't tell that Matt's face was all the way in his camera, squished up against the camera.
Yeah, so it's
I could have gotten closer, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's good. I really enjoy it. I'm sitting here in my beautiful mountaintop home with the fireplace behind me.
You're on the Netflix app, aren't you?
No, the Oculus has this home app that is built.
That was the default lobby on when Netflix launched their with their VR thing. It was that mountain chalet.
I can move things around and point with my little controller. I played a fair amount of Beat Saber, which I'm sure I look ridiculous, but it's a heck of a lot of fun. And it's been pretty great.
Beat Saber has been basically like the killer app for that system for the most part. Yeah. Everybody who plays that game, I mean, it looks like a lot of fun to play it, and it you see people seem to be really enthralled with it and be able to play it for hours and hours on end. So that's good.
It's a good workout too. At least for somebody that has been sedentary completely for the last 8 months of COVID, it feels like a workout.
There are plenty of people who add weights to their remotes or wear weights on their wrists and to make it so they have to work harder. So it's
a great idea. Maybe someday I'll work up to that, but right now I'm just trying to keep up with with it as is. But it's a lot of fun. The environment is really cool. Resolution I've watched some movie trailers in there, and I've gone to a couple of other people's like virtual homes and seen how they've decorated them and stuff like that. So there's a lot of neat things you can do, but really for me it's about the video games, and really looking forward to Star Wars Rogue Squadrons, which I'll be able to tell you about next week.
Oh yes, I'm sure. Yeah.
Word.
The flight sims are so good, and you know they'll come up often enough to have the good combat flight sims. I love space battle flight sims. So
Yeah.
I also have my Thrustmaster that I can show you.
Is it an old original one or is it a new one?
I still say that company was so badly named. Because you hear Thrustmaster, that is not what you're thinking.
Yeah. When I told my wife that for my birthday I was going to buy myself a Thrustmaster.
Did she? did you? Was it like the day after you guys watched Burn After Reading?
I don't know what you're saying.
Burn After Reading. I'm pretty sure that's the thing he was building in the basement.
But yes, she was like, "Wait, what? What do you?" And I like it's a joystick with a throttle. And she's like, "What?"
Oh, it's a HOTAS. HOTAS.
Yes. I was like, you use it to fly airplanes in games. And she's like, oh. It's just, I mean, she legitimately had no clue. She was thoroughly convinced I was buying some sort of like obscene toy for my computer.
All those teenagers.
Go with my VR, which, I mean, I guess that would make sense, but no.
You know, they invented the joystick, and then they decided to also invent the joy hole. So you know, it's all the same, right? Okay. I'm glad you got that. I'm sorry. I'm glad you didn't get kicked out of the doghouse. Just to sleep on the couch for a while for getting your Thrustmaster 3000. That sounds horrible. I want to say that I am also looking at TV solutions for when I'm at home, or you know, when I'm trying to watch local stuff. And we're looking at the various options out there. And I'm revisiting Locast, because Locast does give me all those local stations for $5 a month of donation, which is a pretty amazing deal.
Mm-hmm.
My son, who likes to ask me, "Hey, you were talking about this new thing called Locast. Can I see it?" And so I said, "Okay, let's turn it on." We turn it on. It gives you the little "please donate to us" ad, because we haven't donated yet. But then he sat there and he watched shows with me for a while. I was like, this is pretty good. I mean, but it was like, well, the one thing it doesn't do is let you record or anything like that. So I did some research, and there is an app. It's open source that allows you to emulate a compatible media capture device, antenna capture device, using a script that converts Locast streams into that. And then it's designed so you can pick it up and record it on your Plex server. So very inexpensive. Watch all your shows, record all your shows, local shows over the internet with Locast and a Plex server app. We'll see. I might play with it. We'll find out if I get anywhere with that. Being my normal thing right now, though, is like I feel like maybe doing something and then I fall asleep in my chair before I'm able to do anything about it. So I doubt I'll get into it before the next year. Quite frankly, it's too crazy right now. The other thing is I've been playing. I've re-picked up Zelda Breath of the Wild. Playing it again. This time I've taken it off of expert mode, the hard mode. Because I did win the game technically on that, and now I'm going back to play through it again just for funsies and doing all the DLC I never got around to doing before. So I had not touched it in months, and so now I'm playing it again. It's been my go-to escape from reality, and I've been enjoying it.
Word. I will say, is Locast a good idea, considering what it did, what it did to Egypt?
You know, I think because the rains didn't come first. Actually, kind of they didn't. The fires didn't. Well, the fires have come too.
The death of all the children and
That's the firstborns. You have to put the lamb's blood over the
Yeah,
doorway thing, right? It doesn't say anything on the terms of service. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't-
I was going to say
But-
because usually, you know, you
It-
hear plague like the end times, plagues and pestilence.
All right.
The first thing to come through is the locust.
Yeah, and then of
to-
course well then when the service called for Oggs comes out, I'll be worried too.
Thank you, Jimmy. You got anything?
Yeah. So I think, I've said probably at least a couple of times on the show that, I get free Netflix because I subscribe to T-Mobile, right?
Mhm.
And so I just discovered, I don't know how long it's been there. It's probably been there for a while, right? But I just discovered yesterday that because I have AT&T as my home internet service provider, that I also get HBO Max. So I get HBO Max for free now, right?
That's cool. I gotta say, I am really enjoying the HBO Max.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, now that I've got this new service that is free to me now, what shows would you recommend? That's
Oh,
on
we
HBO
can get
Max?
in. We'll get into that in the after.
Okay.
I mean, mostly I've been watching the aside from just normal HBO stuff. There's DC stuff, which is now. Oh, and that was the
Yes.
story we never talked
I
about.
did.
Was the
I
fact
did.
that
I did see that DC Universe is on HBO Max. Yes,
well,
I
because
like
and
that.
I've talked about that before because that was the big selling point for me was that I was ready to re-sign up for DC Universe, and then I found out I didn't have to because they were, and then they extended it on HBO Max, and then they about a week ago made the announcement, oh yeah, DC Universe, we're done with original stuff. So all of the shows that I liked from DC Universe, like Doom Patrol and Harley Quinn, they are now officially HBO Max shows. They have been renewed. They're not going away. They're just, you no longer have to worry about DC Universe. DC Universe will be just strictly comic book stuff. So yeah,
I haven't looked. I haven't looked yet. Do they have that new version of the Justice League?
it. Oh,
It's
the
supposed to
movie?
be coming. Yeah, the
I
movie.
don't know. Maybe.
I think it's either already out or maybe it's still
maybe.
coming. I don't know.
But yeah, all the
The-
DC Universe original stuff, TV shows and movies, they're on there. Comedy not Comedy Central, Cartoon Network, all their stuff's on there. I mean, it's basically everything. It's great.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So,
literally, I will say, it is Max. It's HBO to the max. Indeed. So I get a question for you guys.
Mhm.
Have you ever been sitting around your house thinking, you know, at work, we've got these really cool phone systems with extensions. And I wish I had that at home. I wish every bedroom had its own extension.
Really?
Running Cisco phones.
Cisco phones? Are you nuts? Actually,
Well-
no, they're fine.
those are pretty cool, but never really wanted one for home.
If you're buying the Cisco phones because you can get them super cheap, that's fine.
Well,
but
I
if you're
mean,
buying,
I can just bring them home from work. Say, hey, I need to test some stuff. All right. See, this is an old one. This is like a 7945. So this thing is basically going in the trash anyway. Because, you know, it's no
you can
longer
put custom.
supported.
You can put custom images on that
That's
thing.
what-
But my
That's what we
point
use
is,
in my office until we switch to Zoom in February.
yeah.
Those antiques.
Well, here's the thing, because as we've talked about before, since I work at home, I like to have my work number not go to my cell phone. I like to have an actual phone. But the problem is I've been using the OB Hi with my Google Voice number, but I can't get a reasonably priced phone that will let me plug in my Jabra headset.
Oh.
Because when I'm on a 6-hour troubleshooting call with Cisco, this does not cut it. So I've been doing some research, and then I found out about a company called 3CX.
Oh, you've got the 3CX, huh? Cool.
So 3CX, which I was skeptical at first because, you know, okay, if you need less than like 50 or I don't even know what the numbers are. Basically, it's free. I don't qualify as a pro user.
Nope.
I can do as many extensions as I want.
It's how many concurrent calls you are having, including internal.
Concurrent calls. And it's
you're at
under
5 or
like
10 or
20 concurrent calls. It's basically just me. And the best part is I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to build a server for the PBX. Nope. It runs on a Raspberry Pi.
Yep.
$25, and that's what I've been playing with. And if you look, their list of supported phones is
gigantic.
Gigantic. The Cisco stuff, not as much. This one, luckily, it falls into the legacy. It's been around long enough that people have already figured it out. But newer stuff, but they have a good community from what I've been seeing, that people are willing to work and share their findings. And it's very has that open source kind of vibe.
Oh yeah.
And I gotta say, I am digging it, especially for a free service. I get my one free SIP trunk. And now, since I have Ethernet jacks in most of the rooms in this house, I can now put Cisco phones in every room.
So my school district, we were using an ancient old North Star phone system, and I was just desperate to get away from it. Not because, it was a bad system, but programming it was hell. Because they're just horrible. So I was about this close to going 3CX. Ended up going Grandstream because it was better bang for the buck for my school district, and I've been very happy with it. But 3CX is pretty much the gold standard for making compatible.
They do support the Grandstream phones that you purchase. So
correct,
you get to the point where if you get like my buddy has Grandstream in his store, has not been very happy with the service that he's paying for. It's been kind of they've had some problems. And it's one of those things where if you get to the point where you don't want to pay for that anymore,
you can move it over.
You just set up one of these and connect all your Grandstream phones and continue you have to get new phone numbers, but
no, you don't. You could probably get those transferred over.
Possibly. But yeah,
the Grandstream phones, all of them natively support 3CX because 3CX is the gold standard for those open platforms. So absolutely, I'm glad you're liking it. It'd be an interesting idea to do it in the house.
I will say I'm not at the point where I will say my experience, because I'm still poking around. Clearly, it's not hooked up at the moment.
No, clearly not.
But yeah. So far, it's been fairly simple to get going, and it's just a matter of go to their website, create an account, download the software. Their documentation and is very good. You just follow it, and you're up and running. So
very cool. I'm glad you were. I mean, yeah, for us, it was, well, we're already buying all the phones, and the Grandstream, box was like $300, and it just did everything. It was like either that or I could build a server, and at that cost, and the probably $3,000 for having this number of phones, was like Grandstream's a better price for us, and it's been great.
Yeah, I still want to set up an analog PBX so that my ancient phones that are wall mounted in my living room and in my kitchen and downstairs, that they can be an extension as well. But
You could. That's no problem. Get an ATA device. You can hook two of them up real fast.
yeah, and we'll deal with that
Dirt
later.
cheap.
But yeah, so I think that brings us to the end of this episode.
What?
I know. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us tonight. Love having you here live, participating. You get to head on over to tbs.showbot.tv now and vote on those titles that were submitted throughout the show. If you are listening to this after the fact or watching this after the fact, you should join us live sometime, because this is the place to be. You get to participate in the chat, submit titles. You get to call us out when we're wrong, because we're never wrong, but you never know.
Not never wrong.
Yeah. So, live every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Central here on Twitch. And you can reach us at all the places here on Twitch, or thevodsquad@gmail.com. That's patreon.com/thevodsquad and thevodsquad.com. All right.
Awesome.
Word. Oh, and podcast is available at all of the places where podcasts are available.
Yay!
Yes, and I checked yesterday. It is on Google Podcasts now.
I listened to us on it. I have to say, I think we actually make a better podcast than Vodcast. I could be wrong.
Hey, that's the thing. If we get enough patrons and they demand that we stop doing it live, I'm sure there's a price. We could set a price.
Sure, why not?
And,
Dude, we don't want to see your faces anymore. You have to turn that
but
off.
that's the beauty of being a patron, is you don't have to see our faces.
That's true.
Pay us enough, we'll just stop doing it.
I
mean, we'll stop releasing it entirely. We'll probably still get together once a week.
Well, I have done that before. That,
We
you know,
won't
I
have
think it was
to
like
share it.
I think it was the threshold was $1,500 a month. I
Yeah.
will just not do the show at all.
We just won't release it. We won't share it with you.
I
We'll
mean,
make
we
sure
won't even
there's
do
no
it. We'll
chance
just go
you'll
our
see
own
it.
separate ways, and you'll have the
Peace and quiet.
peace and quiet, and the peace of mind knowing that you may have done the world.
But
some
the
good.
deal is, as soon as that goes below threshold, we got to go live again.
We're firing right back up.
We'll
That's
come
what
back.
I'm saying. But
Hold the world ransom.
until then, until we hit that threshold,
We'll have to discuss it.
we'll be here next Wednesday. Thanks, everybody. We'll see ya.
Good night.
Bye.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.